Are you a fan of the Dragon Ball Super card game? If so, check out QueenCityGaming.com for sealed product, singles, and more. Just use promo code MafubaJar-10 to save 10% off your order every time.
Welcome back to the Mafuba Jar. We've been sealed away for another awesome deck profile. And today, guys, I'm going to be giving you all an updated version of the Masked Saiyan deck. Now, when it comes to the special anniversary set we just got not too long ago, I kept saying how the Goku Black Zamasu stuff got the most love and support. Well, if there was ever a really close runner-up, it would be Masked Saiyan, because Masked Saiyan got almost everything it needed. So, it just got so many awesome things, and yeah, I definitely feel this is going to be a huge rogue deck to be reckoned with now, if it wasn't already. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the leader here, for those of you who may not know what he does. So he is a black leader, and he has a really interesting activate main, is that once per turn you place the top 3 cards from your deck in the drop area. If a black card was placed in the drop area with this skill, this card gains critical for the duration of the turn. And if a card of any other color was placed in the drop area, this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So your goal is to mill 1 black and 1 colored card, so therefore you gain the 5k and critical boost for him. So he does Awaken at 4 life, drawing 2 cards. He's a bit of an older leader. He was one of the structure deck leaders for set 3 when they were first introducing the Restand 2 energy. So he was definitely still part of the Draw 2 era. And his Awaken side is going to be Bardock Unbound by Darkness. Now his Activate main is the exact same as the Unawakened side, mill 3, crit 5k boost. And his auto is when this card attacks, you may draw a card. So it's pretty cool, for those of you who don't know this, is that once you're at 4 life, if you mill the 3 with this and you gain the critical and 5k, and then you awaken right after, you lose the critical, but you still retain the 5k. So he starts off as 20 for that turn, and if you choose to use his Activate main again, if you happen to get another color card, he'll be up at 25. Even better with criticals, so yeah, this ways to boost this guy up by quite a bit. So I'm going to go on with the deck itself now. I'm actually going to start with some of the newer cards here, just because I really want to show them to you guys. So the first one is arguably one of the best things Masked Saiyan could have ever gotten, and that's going to be a Crack in Space-Time. And what this card does is that it's a 1-drop, it's an activate battle. If your leader is a Black Saiyan card, it gains 15,000 power and double strike for the duration of the battle. So Masked Saiyan essentially now has its very own Jumpa, Supreme Kai, whichever one you use. So this only applies to the leader, so that's the only reason why I'm not running 4 of these, because you can't use it for any other battle card. But the fact that you can easily get to 40k with just this alone, double crit, it's completely overwhelming to your opponents, because you're doing so much damage with critical with so little cards that you're spending for it. So it gets absolutely crazy with this. And I definitely feel that this is a card that was definitely needed in the deck. And next up for the new cards I am running, going to be running 4 copies of Bardock Awaken Instincts. Now I feel basically every Overwhelm deck is going to be playing this card now, just because it's so great. So he's an Overwhelm 4, but you don't have to pay any energy for him. His auto is when you play this card using Overwhelm, draw 2 cards and choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. So it's a really good way to dig through your deck without spending any energy. As I said, I see basically every Overwhelm deck playing this card now. And even some decks that aren't Overwhelm, like I can see so many decks playing this just because it's such a good draw card. And among the last things I'm running from the new thing we got, it's going to be 2 copies of Fu, the Dark Banisher. He's an Overwhelm of 8, you tap 4 energy, he has triple attack, which that's all good, but his permanent is what really makes him stand out. Your opponent cannot activate skills unless they choose 1 card in hand and send it to their warp. So that really comes in handy for what Masked Saiyan is trying to do. So Masked Saiyan is arguably one of the most aggro leaders in the game, but since everything he does is critical, it also kind of serves as hand destruction as well, because not only are they not gaining life whenever you attack them, they're also having to spend cards in their hands in order to make sure they don't get hit with the critical. And once you have enough energy to bring out the Fu, that's even more energy, that's even more resources they have to waste. To even activate and negate, they have to pitch a card for it. So it just gets really, really insane. And it fits perfectly with the deck. Only running 2 of him because of the fact that his cost is a little bit high, especially for how fast the current state of the game is. Alright, so going into the traditional cards here for the Masked Saiyan, gonna be running 4 copies of Supreme Kai, the World's Protector. We have a lot other black super combos now, but for anything Overwhelm, this is still the best one. Because this activates when you have 5 or more cards in your warp, which you can easily do that turn 2. Heck, there's rare occasion you can even fulfill this by turn 1 in this deck. To where it gains a 10k in its combo, and you get to draw a card. And what's very interesting about the Supreme Kai time, it's not color restricted. Technically, you could play this with any leader. It's just the Overwhelm stuff it works the best within. But, little fun fact for you, you could technically play this with any color leader, which I thought was really cool. And I'm going to be running, as far as my color cards go, 4 copies of Planet Vegeta. This is going to be a yellow-black version of the Masked Saiyan. Normally, red-black was the best way to go, but with some stuff we got from set 6, I do feel that the yellow is another very strong way to go now. So what this does is that you search your deck for any Saiyan that's a 4-drop or less, and add it to your hand. So this can search the Bardock Awaken Instincts, or any other black Saiyan card you have that's 4 or less, even if it's Overwhelm. As long as it meets the 4 or less Saiyan, it could be searched. So definitely really, really awesome. We're not worried about the Grade 8 part with that, because we're not running the Grade 8s. Next up here, going to be running 4 copies of Fearless Assault Krillin. I really wish this was a Saiyan. Really, really wish they would have made this a Saiyan instead of Krillin. But we work with what we got. So he is your 1-drop. You go ahead and swim with him. The auto is you take a life. He gains 10k power and critical for the duration of the turn. So, Black Masked Saiyan, no, he's a different leader. The Masked Saiyan is essentially critical the deck. Like, that's pretty much what you're playing here. Everything's going to be critical, so your opponent's constantly going to be losing advantage and not really gaining anything. So, not to mention, it's a way to self-awaken yourself. So that's very, very good right there. And next up here, this is one of the only red cards we are running here. It's going to be Furthering Destruction Jumpa. Even though we have a Kraken Space-Time, there's still no reason to not run this kind of card. And we all know you combo with it, choose a card that you're attacking with, it gains double strike for the duration of the battle. You could also play the Supreme Kai with this. For the most part, it doesn't matter, but one thing that people unfortunately do tend to do at tournaments sometimes is that they tend to rule shark that one a little bit. To where if you come up with the Supreme Kai, and like, let's say you're in a long tournament, it's been a long day, and you accidentally forget to declare that you're activating double strike, your opponent could just rule strike and be like, you didn't declare double strike, so it's not double strike. Jumpa, they can't really do that because unlike the Supreme Kai, this is not optional. Like, even if you like slip of the tongue forget to mention that it's double strike, they can't really say anything on it because you can't choose. So, tournament-wise, it's a little bit safer with Jumpa, but there are instances where choosing to get the double strike or not are actually beneficial. So it's really depending on what you feel the most comfortable with. And next up here for the red cards, I am going to be running 3 copies of Unbreakable Super Saiyan Goku. Now, he is searchable with Planet Vegeta, and he's also just another pseudo super combo. You combo with him, 10k, and you get to draw a card. So essentially we're running 7 super combos in the deck. And next up here we are going to be running 3 copies of Time Control Chronoa. Adds to our black count, not to mention, there's almost no reason not to run this, especially in any kind of black or overrun deck. And also we don't like Shugesh. Shugesh into the 3-drop Goku really hurts a lot of our plays. Even though we're not paying too much energy for a lot of his stuff, it still does hurt us in the long run. So any ways to prevent that, really, really good. And next up from my critical attackers, it's going to be running 3 copies of Desperate Onslaught Bardock. He's a 4-drop, overarm 5, permanently has critical, and his auto is when his card attacks during the turn you played it with overarm, your opponent cannot combo with the battle cards in their battle area or activate blocker for the duration of the battle. So that comes in real handy there, because blockers are definitely annoying, but also an instance with the skillless beatdown Goku, something they like to do is they like to have an Android 8 out along with the 1-drop Goku. They'll combo with the 1-drop Goku from the battle area, then the Android 8 will activate, destroying one card you control in the field. With this, they can't do that because they're not able to combo from the battle area. So this is a really good way to put that strategy on hold if you are playing against that skillless beatdown deck. Alright, next up here, gonna be running 3 copies of Mira from the Darkness. Same reason, he's just another critical attacker, Overwhelm 4, and his auto is when you play this card using Overwhelm, it gains critical for a duration in a turn. Just another free way to get critical through. And we are also going to be running 1 copy of Masked Saiyan, the Mysterious Warrior. Overwhelm 5, you pay an energy, and your opponent and you send cards to that are on your opponent's battle area, excluding blockers. That the total adds up to 5 or less, and you send them all to work. So this is great against skillless beatdown because you can essentially almost clear their entire board with this. So definitely a great card for that. Not to mention just a good card overall, because it does help get rid of quite a few things. And next up here, I am going to be running 2 copies of Dark Power Black Masked Saiyan. Now this card has 2 autos. The first one you don't use too often, but it's good to know. The auto is when you attack with this card, you add a card from your life to your hand, and it gains 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Again, it's a nice way of awakening if your opponent's stalling you and you're not getting into your Krillins, but you really want this card for its second auto, is that when your opponent plays a battle card with 15,000 power or less using a non-keyword skill, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them in the drop area. So basically anything with, say, Shugash, if you're not able to get your Cronoa, or the Broly engine, to where they use their Brolys to be sent away, pitching 2 cards to get more. They have to pitch an additional 2 cards to even do that, as long as you have the Dark Power Black Masked Saiyan on board. Not to mention, if you're playing against Salad, using the 2-drop Green Kaba they have to pitch. There's just so many instances where this works. And last up for the battle cards, I am going to be running, of course, the 1 Beyond Darkness Demigra. Now, in any Overwhelm deck, or almost anything that runs black in general, you are going to be playing this card. So, Dark Overwhelm 7, 5-drop, and the items when this card attacks your opponent reveals their hand, you choose up to 4 battle cards from it and combo with it in your combo area. So basically it's another way to greatly crit their hand, not to mention it's a great game ender. Now, the 2 of these, because I know a lot of you must be thinking this, is that why am I not running the Mirror Creator Absorbed in here? Now you can replace these with the Mirror if you would like, but there's just a lot of things in this game right now, especially with the release of the World Martial Arts Tournament Booster Pack, that can really deal with the Mirror pretty easily. So, if anything, Mirror is a little bit more of a side deck card at the moment for most decks. There are some decks that will still main deck the Mirror, but because of everything that's being released right now, I would say Mirror is a bit more of a side deck card. Definitely a card you want to bring to a tournament, don't get me wrong, and of course you could easily replace these 2 with the Mirrors if this is currently not working for you in your matchups. But I just want to give my reason as to why the Mirror is not in the main deck. Now let's get into some more of our extra cards here. I am going to be running 3 copies of Mina's Keely Zone, and also for the reason I just mentioned with the World Martial Arts Tournament boosters, a lot of decks are going to be maining this now. And that is all because of the very annoying 1-drop Mutai Ito. So basically its skill gets around things with Deflect, because it is even though it's a counter play, its auto is what activates the skill, not the counter play itself. So it gets around a lot of things. So you're definitely going to want to be main decking this even more now. And even though, yes, Mina's Keely Zone does sound a little bit safe to play with the Mirror main instead of the 2 Black Masked Saiyans, I just personally feel that like if you're not able to get this and you risk the Mirror and they play that on you, that's just like a whole wasted thing for Overwhelm. Because yeah, even though it's not much wasted, it's still a huge attacker that could have got you game that's now wasted because of it. So again, just letting you know my reasoning behind that. And next up here, I'm running 2 copies of Dark Plot. Now this is a really good card. in overwhelm decks. You choose up to one battle card in your warp with an energy cost of 4 or less and play it. If the card that you brought back has overwhelm in it, you get to choose up to 3 of your energy and switch them to active mode. Now when it says overwhelm, this does include dark overwhelm too. So let's say, not in this deck, but any other deck that you decide to play this in, if you had, say, a 4-drop dark overwhelm in your warp and decide to play, you still get to restand the 3 energy because it has overwhelm in the name. So we have quite a few targets here for this overwhelm here. But the most ideal target is going to be the Desperate Onslaught Bardock, because he is a 4-drop that you can bring back from 1 energy. You can't use his auto, but you still have the critical here, so that comes in real handy. And of course the other targets are going to be Mira, the Bardock, and I believe that's all of them. Well, technically a lot of these can be targets if you want to be real technical, but the ones with overwhelm are the ones you want to play because essentially you're only paying 1 energy for them. But the best one to use that for is the Desperate Onslaught Bardock because it still retains the critical. But if you're in a pinch and you need just any card to bring out, then yes, any of those will do as well. And since this is yellow, we are going to be running 2 copies of Battering Laser. Another way to stop those very pesky Mutaitos, not to mention any negate in general, because even though, yeah, negates still cost cards from your opponents, we typically don't like them overall. So, Battering Laser, very, very good. And to finish it off, I am going to be running 3 copies of Flying Nimbus. Now, I know this is uneven, forgive me. But the idea is negating, then pitching a yellow card, and they can only attack with battle cards once more for the duration of the turn. So we don't typically do too well against decks that like to swarm the field like crazy, so that's why we've got the Flying Nimbus in there. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for my Masked Saiyan deck profile. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like, and comment down below. Hope you all enjoyed this deck profile here today. And with that, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll see you all next time, and you've all been released.